Okay, time up. Let's come back. Let's come back.
Can we have a couple of minutes, Descent?
Eh? Come in.
Can we have a couple of minutes?
How many minutes?
Maybe 2 or 3 minutes more.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, coming back.
People are still.
So now I think we can share our thoughts. We have Waiwam Ibadan. That's Nigeria. And we have India, we have Malawi, we have Switzerland. And also the other guest, you can also share sometimes when you have some ideas. So now should we start with Nigeria now? Yeah?
All right.
Good.
Oh,
Joshua.
From the dictionary meaning here,
Yeah?
we realize that poverty is the degree of having little resources or finances to take care of someone's need. And that is who is poor. So who are the poor? Poor are those people that have little resources or little amount of money to meet up with their daily needs. Then where do they live? They live in the society, in the community, in the country at large, in the nations of the world. So we can find them living among us. So why are they poor? They might be poor due to the fact that they lack knowledge to discover some of the resources that God has deposited into the nature to benefit us. So due to that, they may be poor. People may be living where we are having enough of resources, yet they still remain poor because they lack knowledge to utilize those resources. So where does poverty come from? As I've said earlier on, poverty may come due to the fact that people lack knowledge. And that is why the Bible says, my people, they perish because they lack knowledge. People might be poor because of the knowledge is carrying all about, which is erroneous. Then the last one, summarily, what will be the end of poverty? I think the end of poverty may be to be judged. Actually, poverty is a mentality and at the same time it's a spirit. So the end point of it, according to my own knowledge, is that it should be judged.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's Nigeria in Badam. Let's go to India. Then Malawi should prepare. We'll finish with Switzerland. India, are you there?
Yes. The question. Who are the poorest? The people without the basic needs like food and shelter and home. They are the poor, and they live in rural areas like slums. They live in that. And why are they poorest? Like mindset, lack of education, and lack of support from the government. Where does poverty comes from? Inside is the mindset, outside is the government. What will be the end of the poverty? It's like change the mindset, work hard. Yeah. Thank you
so much. That's India. Let's go to Malawi.
This is Malawi in Africa. What are the poor? The poor are the people that are needing basic needs like shelter, food, accommodation, clothes, etc., etc. Where do they live? The poverty, they're living among us. Because if we go in the location, we find that out of maybe 3 or 4 houses, 1 or 2 are in poverty. So we live with them together. 3, why are they poor? They are poor because of their mindset. Okay, we can say mindset, but also we can say maybe because of cost of living, it's very high. They can't even afford to get food for themselves. that can even cause them to be poor. Education, maybe they didn't go to school well, they don't know how to do a job, they don't know where to approach, they don't know which door to knock. That can also cause poverty. Where does poverty come from? Poverty mostly came from corruption because, for instance, if we've got money that has to go to the villages to help the poor, but our leaders are taking the money and put them in their pockets, that can also cause poverty to the people who are living in the villages. Not only in the villages, even in our society, here in town, the cost of living, if it's very high, it can also cause poverty. Because if one can't afford to buy a loaf of bread, just for example, they are failing to buy that, they're failing to sustain their life. That is also part of poverty. What will be the end of poverty? For poverty to end, we need to refresh our mind and to reform things. Just like we need to start hard working, because also sometimes if you can just sit at home, not even working hard, there's no way food can just come and knock our door. We need to work for it. And we need to be very honest. On the very honesty, when we are given money to help or to do something, we better do it with all our hearts so that we can get the better results. With that results can end the poverty. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Switzerland?
I mean, yeah, I can share, but please add. So we didn't looked at all the questions, just a few. So first, I think it was of who are the poorest, that it's not just one way of being poor, but it can be kind of in resources like material, but also, yeah, it's kind of a mindset, and that for, if we look just more individual to a person who is poor with the right mindset, it's possible to get out of poverty, but seeing this as a huge, like a country, it's much more hard than just for one person. And then what we kind of talked about, I think, would belong more into the question, what will be the end of poverty? We discussed quite a lot of that, also the way the resources are fertiled, I don't know, like how much we use, for example, in the West. If everyone on the whole world would use as much as one person in the West, we would need kind of almost 3 Earths or something like that. It's more as well, when is enough, and that if really we want to have end of poverty, we also, like the rich countries, would need to let go of some of the luxury we have, that it can be spread more justly and not just we have everything. So these are the main things we talked about. I don't know if you want to add something up. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. I can see that we have some things that we can agree, that the poor, they lack some things. Like all the groups, you are coming with that point. There are some things which are missing that makes somebody to be called poor. And the second thing is that they live everywhere. They are not in one specific geographical location that we can say, here you find poor people. We said they are living among us. Why are they poor? There are different reasons and contributing factors. That's good. Where does poverty come from? Also, there are different opinion about that. And what would be the end of poverty? That also, we have different opinion on that ones. So I would encourage to keep working on it, but as of now, would like to continue. Okay. When you look at the dictionary, you're going to see that poverty is being defined as being extremely poor. That means having no basic living standard. That's the dictionary. That means the person is lacking food, doesn't have clothing, doesn't have place to live. That is somebody who is poor. Of course, you can add other things like, some needed things, but these are the basic human needs according also to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that you need food, you need the shelter, you need water, or this, that you have to meet the basic needs from the basic to the highest level. But when you go to the Hebrews in the Bible, you're going to see that poverty is defined from different angles. We have 8 different Hebrew words that when you translate to English, it means somebody poor or poverty. I'm not going to go into that, but just to give you an idea, you can make your own personal research. If you go to the 5 books of Moses, you can find these 8 Hebrew words, and they are translated in English simple, poor. You have any, it's repeated 71 times. You have Dao 48 times. You have Ebion 61 times. Mook, Yarash, Rush, Cherek, and Mishken. These words, if you go to your interlinear Bible, Hebrew, you're going to find these words. So it means that understanding poverty, we cannot just look at, you cannot just have, you cannot just observe it from the material point of view. There are multi layers to poverty. So we're going to go there. When we come to we are going to have a proper definition about that when we come to the end. But I just want now to come quickly to the causes of poverty. So I just try to put it in 4 categories. Just a summary, can be more, but this I think will try to cover many aspects of poverty. The first category is natural and the supernatural dimension. This is the cause of poverty, which is not influenced by human activities, natural disasters. Like in Malawi, we have cyclones right now, like Freddy, that many people, they lost their homes, their fields, the food that they grew up, and they did not cause the flood. So many people, they are poor, they need help, but they did not initiate it. Of course, we can argue about the management of it or some other things, but it's a natural cause. And this natural and supernatural dimension to the cause of poverty, it means there are some things that they happen naturally in our environment, in the world, depending on other factors, more like when there is an earthquake, or there is a drought, no rain has come, or a pandemic has come, and these are things that we don't know, but it can bring many people to poverty. The supernatural dimension, what I mean by that, it can be good or bad. It can be something that it has come from God or from the enemy. In Africa and some other parts of the world, they believe in witchcraft. They can make somebody sick, they can bewitch, or they can make somebody, who was successful in business, they can bewitch that person and become poor. It's difficult to understand, but it happens. That the person is trying to do what they can do, but because of the power or some other things that are beyond the person's capacity, it might be that somebody becomes poor, and they are not in control. Something just happened to them. So it can be either the devil or God bringing something in the form of judgment or in the form of jealous, but it can cause poverty. It can be just a natural cause, earthquake or anything else that is the cause of that poverty. So I just want to give the example of this supernatural cause that people can suffer, can be in trouble, but it's something that is beyond them. So let's open our Bible to 2 Samuel chapter number 21. We just want to see that one. I'll read from my Bible. 2 Samuel chapter number 21. If we are there, I'm reading from verse number 1. It says, now there was a famine in the days of David the king for 3 years, year after year. And David sought or seek the face of the Lord. And the Lord said, there is blood guilt on Saul and on his house, because he had put the Gibeonites to death. So the king called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not of the people of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. I should just stop there. So you see here in Israel, during the time of King David, he said there was famine. People didn't have food. They were struggling for 3 good years. 3 good years, they were struggling. So I don't know what he was doing and what kind of research was going on, and how they were doing as a country or a government to combat this problem. But then when they find out that they are not finding any cause or a reason from the natural dimension, David, he said he went to pray. He went to seek the face of the Lord. And then he got an answer. When he did that, if he could take it in the laboratory or go through scientific research, maybe he wouldn't find the reason why there is a drought. But now he said he went and seek the face of the Lord. And then he got the answer that it was because, the previous king shed innocent blood. He killed the Gibeonites, and there is blood guilt on the land. And because of that, the rain cannot come, and there is famine. So you see, they were suffering, but the cause of that suffering was supernatural, was something to do with things that, you cannot really understand. You cannot really understand, But David, when he asked, he got the answer. So he needed to do the avenge. But who are these Gibeonites? These were the people that when Joshua, some years back, he was coming to the promised land, and they were conquering, they were mighty, and great things were happening during Joshua's leadership. And these people, they deceived Joshua. They came from the neighboring villages, and they put on sackcloth. They took old bread and old food, and they came to Joshua that we have come from far, and we have heard about your fame, about your strength as a country. So we would like to be in partnership with you, to make a covenant with you. So Joshua, without inquiring from the Lord, he made a covenant with them, a covenant of peace, not to kill them, not to destroy them. But then some years later, when Saul came to become a king, he broke that covenant. And because of that broken covenant, there was a reaction, there was a judgment that came. So then the results, people were poor for 3 years. They were struggling. They were in trouble. So that's what I mean, a supernatural dimension, that something can come as a judgment, or something can be provoked, and things can happen that if you are not checking, you can be in trouble, you can be suffering, but you don't know the cause of it. And there are many people out there in the communities that sometimes they can suffer, they put effort to things, but it's not working. So I would advise we do like David, we inquire from God. What is the cause? What is the real cause of this problem? So that's number one. Natural and supernatural dimension to poverty. Any question about that cause? It's clear. We're together. I move to the second one, okay? The second cause is what I call structural evil. Structural evil. These are systems, these are structures which are put in place by people or by government or by church or by any other institutions that makes other people to be disadvantaged. So in this category of structure evil, we can put all nations or political systems that they're not transparent enough, laws of the country which does not support development, that makes it harder for people to come out of poverty. I cannot speak of any other country, but in my country, Malawi, for example, when it comes to business laws, the laws that can help somebody to start a business, you see that is much harder for the Malawians to start a business than a foreigner. For a Malawians to start a business, from the first year, you are expected to start paying taxes right away. But you're going to see that foreigners, they come, most of them, they're given tax break for 5 years, that they don't have to pay tax for 5 years in the name of they're bringing development in the country. But then you're going to see that some countries, like you have the northern part, there was a company that came in Lumpi, I think so, if you're not in Zimba. They were extracting some stones, precious stones there. They were given 5 years tax break. Before 5 years, they already finished their project. So that means they didn't even pay, what was supposed to be paid. So if you have laws, these kinds of laws, they are preventing other people to come out of their predicament, from their trouble. So that's what we call structure evil. It can be also a church. It can be the church, like the church structures that we have in Africa. Most of the time, it's the system that just serves one man. One man, the apostle or the bishop or whosoever is called, is the one who is benefiting from the whole structure. The others, they are not structuring, they are not benefiting from that. So that's what we call structure evil. So we can go on and see in different departments like NGOs, or you'll find that you have this category, what we call structure evil. That we can also talk about colonization, corruption and bribes, the structure that promote bribe. Again, I don't know most of the countries, but in Malawi, if somebody wants even a passport, it's not easy to get it. Here in Switzerland, when I need a passport or the passport of my children, I make an appointment online. I go to the office. Within 5 minutes, I'll be out. It's done. Then they'll send the passport to my house, to my address. But in Malawi, you put your files. If you don't chase it, it will be there even for a year or 2 years without getting your passport. And that create a structure of corruption, because if you want your files to move from one office to another, that means you have to bribe somebody. You have to give some money to the officer to do your job. That is structure evil. These are the causes of poverty that are there, that many people, they are trapped in poverty, not because they are just lazy. Some they can be fine in their mind. They are people who can think well, but the structure is not permitting them to go forward. Oh, the natural and the supernatural causes, the supernatural is bringing poverty. So that's the second cause. Can I go to the third one, or do you have any question? It's good. I go to the third one. What we are doing now, we are analyzing the problem, because my heart is that we discover so that we can recover. If you don't know the problem, if you don't know what is causing you to be sick, it's difficult to recover, because you don't know what kind of treatment you need to get in order to be well. So structure evil. Let's go to personal evil. This category of poverty, you cannot blame the natural disaster. You cannot put the blame on the supernatural or the structure. It's self-induced, it's self-caused. Personal evil, we means the habits, the character traits that we have as human beings that can bring us to poverty. For example, if somebody is lazy, if you have all the resources, but you're lazy, you are just sleeping the whole day, sleeping, you will be poor, not because the government doesn't want you to prosper, but because you are lazy. Another example is if you are a thief, you like to steal people's things. Number one, it creates a mentality in you that you cannot manage to produce your own thing. You just depend on stealing. And if they catch you as a thief, you might have a problem with the law that they'll take you to police and they can lock you in jail. If they lock you, then you cannot work. What is happening? You are becoming poor. So imagine you are a married man or a family man, you are a thief, and the police catch you, and then you're in jail. Your family will not going to have what it takes, food and all the things that are required. But this is not because there's a disaster that has happened, or because the structure is hindering you to prosper. It's self-caused because you are a thief. You learned some character or some behaviors that are self-destructing. Example, another one, you're a married man and you are cheating. Your wife, or a wife is cheating the husband, then you're caught. Imagine maybe you have kids, and then you try to negotiate, and the husband or the wife chooses not to forgive, and run away from the family. What is happening now, you have to go before the judge, and then you will divorce. And what will happen is that now the little salary that you were receiving, and it was enough just to survive, to buy food and other things, you need to share it to support the kids somewhere. That means you need to pay rent for, in 2 places. You need to go buy food for 2 places. Then you'll be under financial stress. Why? Because of the personal evil. It's your own problem. You cannot say, I'm suffering because my government, because because the natural disaster or anything else. It's you as a person who is the problem. So that's what we call it, personal evil. The last one is inadequacy in worldview or wrong worldview. An understanding of the world and the reality which is not true. And because you have a wrong understanding of reality, or you're wearing a wrong glasses, it can bring you in poverty. You can be poor. So let's go to Genesis for this one, the worldview. I just want to show you a story from Genesis chapter 26. Genesis chapter number 26, you can read that that whole chapter. But I will start from verse number 12. It said, and Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in the same year 100-fold. The Lord blessed him, and the man became rich and gained more and more until he became very wealthy. He possessed of flocks and herds and many servants, so that the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped and filled with earth all the wells that his father's servant had done in the days of Abraham, his father. Okay, so I wanted that just to show you what was happening. And if we go to verse number 17, it says, so Isaac departed from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water that had been dug in the days of Abraham, his father, which the Philistine had stopped after the death of Abraham, and he gave them the names that his father had given them. So if you go to the beginning, it says there was a time of famine, again, the time of Isaac beside the one that was in the time of Abraham. But then it says Isaac, he wanted to get his visa and get out of the country and go to Egypt, because by then people were going to Egypt for food. When they're in trouble, they said, life is not possible here. We will go to Egypt to get some help there. Just like what is happening in Malawi is more common. People, they will go to South Africa, or they want to go to the UK or other well-to-do nation, to America, when they're in trouble. So Isaac wanted to go to Egypt, and then God said, stay here, I'll bless you. And what Isaac did, he started digging again the wells of his father so that he can start irrigation farming. Because when the rain is not coming, the only way to come out of your trouble is irrigation. So he said he became rich doing that. But in the same place, you're going to see that they say the Philistines, whenever they dig the well, the Philistines were coming to stop the wells. They were burying it. They were putting some earth in the well that, you know, they cannot get the water. So what was the problem? The problem, you're going to see that the worldview of Isaac and the Philistines, they were seeing things different. Isaac, he said, when the rain is not coming, I will start irrigation, I will dig the wells. While the Philistines, they said, when Allah wanted to be a desert, it will be a desert. You cannot, you cannot do anything about it. So in the end, the Philistines, they were jealous of Isaac. In the same land, somebody's prospering, and the other ones, they are struggling. They want aid. But the issue or the problem is the worldview. Are we together?
Mm.
Okay, so if you can see in these causes of poverty, there are two dimensions. There are inside factors and there are outside factors. So that's what I meant when you guys are sharing the causes of poverty. Why is Africa is going, you know, the poverty is growing, and the other parts they are reducing. So personal evil and the worldview issue, these are the inside factors. These are the things that you have nobody to blame but yourself. And you can work on it by yourself, by exposing yourself to the right information, by wanting to change, by having the good classes that can help you to come out of that kind of poverty. While the natural and the supernatural dimension and structure evil, these are outside factors. These are the things that you might say, I don't necessarily have the influence on it when I'm not in government, when I don't make the policy, when I don't make this, but there's a way to handle it. We'll come back to that maybe tomorrow or the other day. But is there any question so far to the causes of poverty? Is it clear? Any comment or something? All right. So let's go to the root causes of poverty. The root causes, the root cause of poverty. So the root cause of poverty, you're going to see it's broken relationships. Broken relationship after the fall of man. When God created the world, he created the world of abundance with everything that we need in it. And when man sinned, there was a broken relationship. Our relationship with God was broken. Then there was no spiritual connection with God. Our mental understanding, we had limited perspective. We have mental blockage. Then we have poor self-image. And on the spiritual, we have fear of God. Adam was hiding. Then we were in bondage. Our social relationships, they were impacted as well, that we have limited, we have restriction, we play blame games that Adam said, oh, it's Eve said the snake, and not taking responsibility after all, because we don't want to be a problem. The physical, then we have problem with the scarce resources or how to manage them, and it's the choices that we make so that we can come out of this situation. So having looked at the root cause of poverty, you can see that poverty is not just, you cannot just define poverty in two material things. The definition of poverty has to include the other part. So poverty can be defined as the being in mental, spiritual, physical, or social affliction. That means the 4 areas of our relationship, they've been impacted by the 4. So the definition of poverty is not just a material definition, but it has mental, it has spiritual, and it has physical, and it has social impact. You have a deficit in these areas. So that's how we can define poverty. So depending on how you define poverty, it will affect also how you want to eradicate or to solve the question of poverty. Are we together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I think I'm running short of my time. I don't think I can start something meaningful today because I'm remaining with 6 minutes. As I said, I'm going away to the funeral. So if there's questions or comments within this 6 minutes, I'm happy to address.
Yes, let's think about some questions that you have that you want to ask, or if you want to share what you learned today or stuck out to you, then you can share it now. Just the feedback, something that you learned. That's always good to hear for a teacher. Some feedback.
Yeah, decent. More of just a general question that I'm interested in. How would you say that your worldview changed, like when you met your wife, married, and kind of like came more out of poverty in Malawi? How did your worldview change from growing up into poverty and then more coming out of it?
Well, that's a very good question. The change of my worldview, it has been a process. When I did my DTS, we had a teaching about the kingdom of God and the gospel of the kingdom. So there, it was the beginning of starting questioning things and looking at things from a different angle than the church glass. Because when it comes to the question of poverty and the challenges that we had, the glasses that I had from the church was that, when it comes to the question of poverty, yeah, one day, Jesus is coming and is gonna take us, to a glorious heaven where he's preparing a mansion for us, a mansion, they're building a mansion. So that worldview cannot give you strength or passion to change something now, because no matter how you are suffering, Jesus is preparing a mansion in heaven. But the gospel of the kingdom, it was an eye-opener, say that God is interested in all spheres of life, and that there is no inch that Jesus is not crying, saying it's mine. Whether politics, science, agriculture, business, and anything that you can talk about. And then when I came to Switzerland, 2009, I did the School of Biblical Christian Worldview. So that was the turning point of my life, that I started seeing things that, I can do something. I am a junior partner with God. I'm a co-creator of God. I can do something. So I would say it has been a process, but mainly the School of Biblical Christian Worldview has really pushed me in the right direction to be doing what I'm doing now, that I think different, I see things different. And from that is when I wanted to do community development, because you cannot believe in community development that the communities can develop if you don't have a biblical Christian worldview. Because the response of the church is, we are going to heaven, let the environmentalists or the community, the government deal with the problems which are there, or anyway, the earth will burn up anyway. Everything will be burned in fire. So it doesn't give you the strength. So that's how I can answer. Sorry, it was not a short answer.
Good, thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Decent. I think because of time, then we will close here now, but we have more days with you and time for questions and things like that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us today. It was really lovely, and we are looking forward to what you have for the next days as well. So thank you so much.
Did Malawi want to say something? I see somebody standing.
Oh, yes, please.
I wanted to say something, but I think because you concluded already, it's fine. But yeah. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can say something, otherwise
Okay,
you
yeah.
forget.
So I wanted
but
to
I
say,
can respond tomorrow if it's a question. Yeah. Yeah.
no, it's just concurring with what you shared about broken relationship. And I was just listening to a lecture this week about how Germany developed during a time when they were also living in poverty. There were cooperatives that were made for farmers, and then that brought out wealth out of it. And not only Germany, there was Korea as well. The people started working in cooperatives and what. So I'm just looking at what Malawi can take out of the teaching, that the broken relationships makes us work individually, not like working in groups to produce the same thing that can attract more value and bring enough resources that can be managed in a team where there's accountability and all that. So I think it's a huge issue that we will keep discussing here in our team about how do we work on mending relationships to bring worth in what we do every day. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you.